What about discrimination based on your gender at any point? Not just at Barnard, but at any point in your career.
Oh, well, I think there was probably a lot of that, although I was unaware of it at some point, you know?
Yeah.
It took feminist thinking to actually make me aware at some time. Well, when I was a graduate student, I think that Don Hebb was very good on these issues. At any rate, some of his best students were women. So, you know, he had an investment in women. And after getting my degree, I came to New York and I worked in the neuropsychology lab with somebody called Hans Lucas Teuber, and I don't know.
Yes,
Do you
at
know the
Bellevue.
name? No. Anyway, he was very well known. We were we were 3 people, and Lucas, he made sort of the 4th, and we were 2 women and 1 man. Now, Lucas, actually, at one point there was a question of giving people raises, and he didn't have much money and so on. And the man, actually, when I went there, didn't yet have his degree, and then he got his degree. And Lucas called me in at one point and said, look, you know, Sid, you know, is married and has a child, and he now has his degree, and he needs a raise. And I can't give you a raise if I give him a raise, but he needs it, and you don't. Which, you see, the reality is that that was true. I was married at the time, and while we didn't have much money, on the other hand, there were 2 people who had an income. His wife, Sid's wife, wasn't. Anyway, I accepted I said, okay, like on just a human basis, that's a good decision, you know? Somebody has more need, and I felt he treated me respectfully. He called me in and he said, look, this is the... But, you know, I thought about it many years later, and I thought, would he have done that if I were a man? If I were a man, you know, I had this job and I didn't have any children, and would he say to a man, look, this man needs the money more because he has a child, and you don't? I doubt that Lucas would have done that, but I will never know.
Yeah.
So, okay, but that's not, you
No,
know...
that's perfect. I mean, that's exactly,
Yeah,
it's so
exactly.
interesting.
Well, I'll tell you one of the subtler ones, in a way. I remember that after my second marriage and I had children, I remember, well, actually it was Bob Malmo, who, you know, was part of the McGill faculty, and a very nice guy, and I got along well with him and so on. He would, when I met him at a meeting, he would always say to me, and I understand he was very friendly, and he would always say, how many children do you have now? Is it 3 or 4? I only have 2. I never had more than 2. And he couldn't remember that there were only 2. And I felt that that was, you know, a sexy. He was seeing me differently now. He wasn't just relating to me as a colleague. He was saying, well, anyway, I don't have to explain to you. I'm trying to think. Well, oh, you know, I bet there are a lot of ways that I'm not sort of for the moment. You know, I spent a number of years at George Washington University because my husband was at Walter Reed, and I had some grant money, and so I could move to George Washington University, and they, you know, they were willing to take my overhead. And you know, I felt I was there. Does anybody know the name of Jackie Gooden now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Jackie and I were there at the same time.
Oh,
It's sort of the same. Oh, yeah, we shared it all. We became fast friends. Anyway, you know, there they had these two women who were really quite productive and, you know, moderately well known and so on. And, you know, they had us there on the cheap,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And we taught a course and so on, but, you know, they wouldn't have treated men that way. I mean, well, men would have made a different demand. I mean, that's the thing that was clear to me, that if I were a man, I would have behaved differently. I don't regret, actually. You know? So it's one of those funny things that I behaved in a sexist way, they behaved in a sexist way, but it was sort of convenient, if you know what I mean.